What a great day to be alive in Portland. Seems very appropriate, the sign back there that said, "Pretend I'm a tree and save me." Maybe they'll take note. We've been talking about ending abortion for 41 years. I say it's time to do whatever it takes to bring the killing to an end. You've all seen the bumper sticker that says abortion stops a beating heart? Well, in 2010, God put an idea in my heart that said, what if we could turn that upside down? What if a beating heart could stop abortion? And in 2010, we introduced a bill in the state of Ohio called the Heartbeat Bill, as Dr. Wilkie put it, that declares that if a heartbeat's detected, the baby's protected. So we introduced the bill in Valentine's Week 2011. It seemed appropriate. We lobbied our hearts out. We delivered 5,000 red heart helium balloons to the House members, 1,200 red roses to the Senate. We gave them heart candies, heart cookies, teddy bears with beating hearts of ultrasound babies. We actually brought in the youngest to ever testify in Ohio history, a 9-week-old unborn baby, so the legislators could see and hear her heartbeat. I'll tell you a little story. The Senate said, we're not going to do your antics. They were very hostile to life, even though they all ran on pro-life promises. And they said, we're not going to let you bring your little ultrasound on wheels into the committee. And I said, that's all right. Y'all let videos be played, right? They said, well, you can do a video. So we played the video of the unborn baby's heartbeat from the House testimony. Because by the time it got to the Senate committee, that baby was already born. And so we played the heartbeat, and at just the right time, we made the point that the House heard her heart, but the Senate saw her face, and she was brought in as the testimony. But they wouldn't listen. We had rallies inside the State House. We had rallies outside the State House. We prayed. We fasted. I even bought a 3-story high helium red heart balloon to encourage the legislators to pass the heartbeat bill. We ran full-page ads, radio and television commercials, and though the House passed it in 2011, the Senate failed us. And 2012, I'm going to tell you something, it felt like an enormous defeat. A few months went by. Spring of last year, I got a call from Jim Bob Duggar. Yeah, the same guy of the reality show, 19 Kids and Counting. It's kind of funny. We talk about being pro-life. They're actually doing something about it. He said, we heard about your efforts in Ohio, here in Arkansas, and he caught his buddy in the Senate, Senator Jason Rapert, and he said there's going to be a lot of babies in the state of Arkansas, very grateful for the work of Ohioans. He said, because we passed the nation's first heartbeat law, the most protective in the nation. And so I was lobbying for the Kansas heartbeat bill a few weeks later, testifying in their committee, lobbying to try and get that bill through. And at that moment, when they were saying we should stall and maybe we should delay, in the middle of a meeting with the legislators in Kansas, we got a call that the governor of North Dakota had just signed the second heartbeat law in the nation. It's been introduced in Mississippi that passed it through their House, in Texas in their special session, in Kentucky, in Wyoming, Oklahoma. They've been asked to get the language to introduce it in Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, Florida, and I even was asked by legislators for the bill to introduce it in the states of New York and California. Canada called. We got a call from France. Italy's on the line. They want to pass a heartbeat bill. And I know what you're thinking. Some of you are thinking that but it's very dark here in Oregon. You don't understand, Jen. It's very dark. I want to tell you something. It doesn't matter how dark it is. In the battle between darkness and light, light wins. My good friend Gail Atterbury and the good folks at Oregon Right to Life, they said, well, we're outnumbered in the legislature. What are we going to do? They didn't fret and wring their hands. They pushed back the darkness and defeated 5 out of 5 pro-abortion lethal bills, so much so that Planned Parenthood fired their lobbyists because they were so effective. Don't you dare predict or accept defeat. Whether it's the battle for life or marriage or overturning Obamacare, I'm going to tell you that light will defeat darkness. It doesn't matter if there's a million parts of darkness. All you need to do is strike one match, and darkness is defeated every single time. What can you do in the state of Oregon? Well, the Oregon board, I understand, went on a retreat. Gail Atterbury, Paul Harmon says, what can we do? There's a girl named Becky, and she's got a story of a crisis pregnancy, and she chose life. And they said, why not give her a voice? Let's build a website, what do you say? And now the website Stand Up Girl is one of the top pro-life websites in the country. They are reaching more non-pro-lifers than anyone else online with stand-up girls all over the world. It started right here. What do you do in a dark place? You shine all the brighter. Lila Rose and others have done some undercover work, and what do you know? They found out that Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry cared more about killing babies than they did about reporting any statutory rapes of underage girls. And so they exposed this, and just this week it came out that an abortionist in Indiana is facing 180 days in jail for not following the law. And I believe that may be the next abortion clinic to close, like the 87 abortion clinics that closed last year and went out of business. In fact, there's been a 73% decline in the number of abortion mills since the height of their killing in 1991. John 1:5 said, "The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it." It may seem dark, and it may seem that with the government schools, with the media, with Hollywood, what's going to happen to the youth? Look around and see what's happened to the youth, because the polls have shown that the youth of America are more pro-life today than they were back in 1973 before Roe versus Wade. We are winning. It wasn't that long ago, and I'll tell you why. One of the reasons why we're winning is because we have the truth, and the truth will prevail. One of the things, I spoke at the University of Cincinnati not too long ago, and they were very tolerant and open-minded and very welcoming of my views. They carried signs that said, "Janet, go home." They really did. And I was speaking outside there in their main area, and they had a table with all the fetal models of all our human development. And I had talked about this being a baby and how we need to protect babies, and this woman got in my face and she was mad. She had a little girl on her sleeve, a little daughter, probably 3 or 4 years old. And she said, "You need to quit calling it a baby. It's a fetus." And I explained to her the definition of fetus is young one, developing human, unborn child, is essentially baby. "No, it's a fetus, not a baby." And our discussion went back and forth, but it was interrupted by her daughter tugging on her sleeve, pointing to the fetal model, saying, "Look, Mommy, babies." As Ronald Reagan said, evil is powerless if the good are unafraid. And if Jesus Christ is the light of the world, and if he lives in you, then the greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. If you will just get your light out from under the bushel, if you will get it out from behind the 4 walls of the church, our light will overcome the darkness, because light wins. And when the history is written about what happened in America in this time on our watch, when our children and grandchildren come home and ask us the question that they learned about in their history class, when they ask us, where were you when they were killing babies? I want to answer, as all of you, answer with me. We were the ones who brought the killing to an end. Thank you very much.